My name is Ryan, and I always believe that peace is something you create around yourself. When my wife Emily and I moved into what looked like the perfect suburban gated community, I thought we had finally found that peace. The houses were beautiful, the lawns were neatly trimmed, the streets were quiet, and everything looked organized and safe. But little did we know, this neighborhood had its own self-appointed queen, and her name was Karen. Yes, the kind you're thinking of. Short blonde bob haircut, oversized sunglasses even when it's cloudy, a coffee cup permanently glued to her hand, and the belief that she is the law. She wasn't the HOA president. She wasn't even on the board. She was just a committee volunteer. But in her mind, she ruled everything in a 10-house radius like a personal empire. At first, we tried to be friendly. When we moved in, she walked up to us with her clipboard and said in this overly cheerful but somehow threatening tone, "Welcome to our community. Just make sure everything you do follows HOA standards. I keep everything running here." The way she said it made it sound less like a welcome and more like a warning. Emily smiled politely and I simply nodded. We didn't want drama. We were here to build a calm life. Days passed and we settled in. But Karen was always watching. If we placed a welcome mat, she would walk over and say, "You know, the HOA prefers darker neutral tones. If we planted flowers," she would comment, "this neighborhood follows a landscaping theme." One day, she took a picture of our recycling bins because we left them out an hour longer than supposed to. She emailed us a warning. Yes, an email. We laughed about it privately, but there was always this underlying tension with her. She needed to feel in control, and we were in her territory now. Then one afternoon, something simple turned into something absolutely ridiculous. Our front door lock had started jamming. Some days it would turn, some days it would jam, and sometimes we had to try multiple times to get in. It didn't feel safe, especially when Emily got home late from work. So I went to the hardware store, bought a brand new lock system, and came home to install it. Nothing fancy, nothing structural, just a basic lock replacement. I was standing by the door with a screwdriver and drill working quietly. Emily was inside making tea. The sun was setting and the atmosphere was calm. Until we heard that voice. That voice we had started to recognize very well. "What do you think you're doing?" Karen marched over from her driveway like she owned the ground she walked on. She wasn't asking. She was accusing. I turned to her and replied calmly, "Just replacing the door lock. The old one stopped working properly." She didn't even let me finish before snapping, "That is not allowed without HOA approval. You cannot just change structural home features. This neighborhood has standards." I stared at her for a moment, confused. "Karen, it's a door lock. It's not affecting anything but our own safety and privacy." "No, no, no!" she shouted, waving her hands dramatically. "This is a violation. I run this neighborhood. I oversee compliance. You're breaking the rules." Emily stepped outside and spoke politely. "Karen, this is a private entrance. This isn't a public fixture. This is our home." Karen's eyes widened like she had just been personally attacked. She pulled out her phone and said the words that made my stomach drop. "I'm calling 911. She dialed without hesitation. "Yes. Hello. I'd like to report a suspicious man damaging property in our neighborhood. He's refusing to stop. He has tools. Yes. Yes, right now. Please hurry." She made it sound like I was breaking into my own house with power tools in the middle of the night. Emily looked at me, stunned. I felt anger boiling up, but I kept calm. If I reacted badly, that would only feed her narrative. Within 10 minutes, a police car pulled up. 2 officers stepped out and walked over. They didn't draw weapons or act aggressively. They looked more tired than anything else. One officer asked, "Sir, can you tell us what's going on?" I explained everything. I showed them the old broken lock. I showed them the new lock packaging and the receipt. I showed them my ID, the deed to the house, everything. They understood immediately what was happening. The officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this is a private homeowner making a safety repair. There is no violation. This is not an HOA matter. You cannot call 911 for disputes like this." But Karen didn't back down. In fact, she doubled down. "If you let him do this, then other people will think they can do whatever they want. I run this community. I keep everything in order." "You don't understand." The officer paused, then spoke firmly. "Ma'am, maintaining community order is not the same as harassing your neighbors. 911 is for emergencies. Misuse of emergency services is a crime. Karen's face turned red, but she just clenched her jaw and stormed away. Before walking inside, she turned and glared at us. "This isn't over. You'll regret moving here." We thought she was just being dramatic. We were wrong. Over the next few days, she started a campaign against us. She submitted noise complaints, even though we were quiet. She took pictures of our lawn and claimed our grass was half an inch too tall. She told other neighbors that we were disruptive and dangerous. Some neighbors started avoiding eye contact with us. Others apologized privately and said, "She's always like this. We just keep our heads down." But everything changed one night. Emily came home late after a double shift. It was dark. Karen was waiting outside, standing by the sidewalk with her arms crossed. As Emily walked toward the door, Karen stepped in front of her. "Where were you? You think you can just come and go? I monitor this neighborhood for safety." Emily was exhausted and didn't want to argue, so she tried walking around her. Karen stepped forward again. I opened the door right then and saw it happening. "Karen, move," I said, my voice calm but cold. Karen pointed her finger in my face. "You need to learn your place." That was it. The next morning, I wrote a detailed report of everything that had happened. I gathered screenshots, emails, complaint forms, every single piece of harassment. And then I attended the next HOA board meeting, the real one, not Karen's backyard gossip circle. When it was my turn to speak, I presented everything clearly, respectfully, and factually. The board members listened quietly. They didn't look surprised. They looked tired. This wasn't new. When I finished, the HOA president sighed and said, "We apologize. Karen has been warned multiple times, but this is the first time we've had full documentation." The board voted, unanimously. Karen was removed from all HOA committees. She lost every ounce of fake power she thought she had. The next time I saw her outside, she didn't make eye contact. She just walked back inside her house, her kingdom shrinking behind her, and as I locked my door, the new lock, I felt something I hadn't felt since we moved in. Peace. Not because the neighborhood changed, but because we finally took our power back. No one, not even a self-appointed HOA queen, gets to decide how you live in your own home.